Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishioza. Um, sorry. It's gonna be just me again. Um, I'll try and make this one a little bit shorter. I'm gonna talk about both Nuggets and Broncos. Gonna try and talk more about the other things, but if I'm being honest, there weren't that many other big storylines this week in the NFL. So I'm gonna try and just stick with the Broncos because I honestly think that it truly is one of the bigger ones. So I'll start with them. The title of this is how much worse can the Denver Broncos be? Because I look at the situation that they're in right now, and I just don't know how this season it can get better. I think that at the beginning of the season there was still hope, and there was still optimism that this offense and this team could turn into something obviously better than what it is right now. But you just look at the same issues that have persisted the entire season and the fact that there's been absolutely no improvement on them whatsoever, that's a big time issue. You've had a quarterback change with the same receivers, same scheme, same everything. And then the offense looked just as bad, if not worse, when Brett Rippon was in, when Russ was hurt. So it's not a Russ problem, right? It's not a Russ problem. He's not playing great right now, but he's not the main issue. He's not the biggest problem because if the offense looks the exact same with when he's not out there, that it shows that he's not a main factor in what's happening. Then you change play callers today or yesterday. You have Clint Kubiak call plays instead of Nathaniel Hackett. It looks better. It looked smoother. I would say that for sure, but you still only put up 16 points. You only scored 2 field goals in the second half. You have the ball on the goal line and you still can't score a touchdown. You still can't even score points when you're on the goal line. That's an issue. That's a big time issue. And yeah, Melvin Gordon fumbling was definitely, contributed to that, but they should have scored regardless. They should have at least gotten 3. It got blocked. The season just has gone wrong in every single way you can think of. I just don't know how it gets better. I don't know how it gets better. I can only see it going downhill from here because it's not going to just automatically Russell Wilson's going to become an MVP and Nathaniel Hackett's going to be like, oh, boom, we got to do this. And then it's fixed. And then, Clint Kubiak's the savior in terms of calling plays. That's not how it works. And, the Raiders defense isn't good at all. They're a bottom 10 defense in the NFL. And you still only put up 13 points or 16 points. That's a big time issue, and you make absolutely zero adjustments in the second half. That's bad. That's super, super bad, and that's very concerning. I'm not gonna call for anybody to be fired, but I'm not if you fire Nathaniel Hackett at the end of the season, that's probably the right choice because you look at what he's done as a head coach this season, and there's been nothing optimistic about it. Sure, he's I like him more as a person compared to Vic Fangio, but Vic Fangio was able to get production out of the offense somehow, even with Pat Shurmur. They're running Nathaniel Hackett's hires have been bad. He got rid of Mike Munchak, which has it's been detrimental to the offense. It's been detrimental to the offensive line. He hires Justin Houghton. That hasn't worked out. EJ Vero has been great. I obviously he's been phenomenal. So I'll give him credit for that. He definitely picked the right guy in the defensive coordinator spot. But offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, those are the 2 biggest positions outside of him. And he completely whiffed on them. And that's an issue. That's an issue in judgment. That's a one red flag. And then the fact that there's been no improvement throughout the offense in its entirety. The issues are the exact same. That's another red flag. He's trying, he's doing his best, but I just think he's out of his league in terms of being a head coach. I think he still has. I mean, he's so young. He's 42 or something. He's not old at all. And the guys that he's hired aren't old at all. Vero's in his 40s, Alton's in his 30s. The guys who are on the team right now aren't experienced, and that plays a big factor because those guys can't tell him what he's doing wrong, what has to be fixed, what from their experience with other teams has to be fixed. That's one thing that I think Vic Fangio really got right is he was a first-time head coach. He was super experienced. He had been in the league almost 30, 40 years, and he was very experienced, but he hadn't been a head coach before. So he hired other people around him who had been in the NFL before, who knew what they were doing, who knew how to manage things differently. I'm not saying that Vic Fangio had a successful 3 years as as head coach of the Denver Broncos, but his first year looked better than this. There was at least some sort of optimism after the first few games going into that season. So the fact that the team can't close, like there's just nothing going right with the offense of the team. And there were some people who were putting the blame on the defense last game for, they didn't stop them on the final drive. They didn't stop them in overtime. Like, how many times are you going to ask them to do that? Like, they've done it all season long. Eventually, they're going to have to give up some. Like, they're going to have to break at some point. Like, every defense has that. Even the Super Bowl champion Broncos had that issue. Like, every single team is just going to have their defense break at some point. And I'm surprised it took this long for Denver's defense to break and have a game with a lot of missed coverages and a lot of blown coverages. And they didn't get a sack on Derek. I mean, I think they got a couple of sacks, but they once again still could not stop the run. They couldn't do anything against Josh Jacobs. Their front seven got demolished. That's just gonna happen every once in a while to teams. So you cannot put the blame on the defense when consistently they've been the only ones who have shown up and the offense hasn't done anything, right? That's just, oh my goodness. And the season was lost, I think, when Denver fell to 2-4. I think the season was 100% lost once that happened. But man, it's just tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch truly because this is a team that should be so much better. Even they have so much salary on IR and they have so much talent on IR. You look at it, Caden Stearns is on IR. Defensively, Caden Stearns is on IR. Jonas Griffith got put on there. You still have Randy Gregory on IR. You still have Ronald Darby on IR. Those are big time starters who are just not playing anymore because they're off the defense. And the defenses look good. The defense has been fine. But then you look at the offensive end, Billy Turner is out. Garrett Bowles is out. Right? And then the starting center, Lloyd Cushenberry, he's out. Tim Patrick's out. Jerry Jeudy didn't play. He's been in and out of the lineup. And it's just and obviously with Javonte Williams getting hurt, and then the guy who you got in the Bradley Chubb trade to kind of be able to spell the starters, Chase Edmonds, he goes down and he's hurt. He's going to be out for a few weeks. There's just there's been nothing right with this team, and it's just so hard to watch, and it's so hard to look at and be like, okay, well, there's only a couple of things you can fix it next year and come back and you'll be a playoff team. There's so many things that this team has gone wrong. And Asher and I said this before. We said in the season, we were before the season started, we were this is not this is a borderline playoff team. This isn't a surefire thing where you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, this team is going to make the playoffs 100%, which a lot of Broncos fans are saying. There were some flaws that are pretty obvious. And I think it's very disappointing that, the front office did the best they could to do it, but the coaching staff has not done a single thing to help scheme it out and help scheme out the issues. The issues have been the exact same. And that's such a red flag. The fact there's been no improvement is a huge red flag for Nathaniel Hackett. And I don't think they should fire him right now. I don't think that you should fire a coach mid-season because I don't think that does any good. I think that all it does is give other teams a chance to look at your guys and a head coaching opportunity. If the Broncos do want, Ejiro Evero has been getting a lot of national attention as a potential head coaching candidate, for the next couple of years. If you fire Nathaniel Hackett, who's going to be the guy who takes over? It might be Dom Capers, but it very well could be Evero. Do you really want to give teams a chance to look at that? No. If you want to keep Evero on the team next season, you got to hide him a little bit and make sure that he doesn't, get poached before you even have a chance to keep him. So firing him doesn't make any sense. At least, let him run out the season, let something happen. If there isn't any drastic improvement, I would be pretty shocked if he wasn't canned. But Man, it's just a tough season. Just a really, really tough season. They play the Panthers next. If they don't beat the Panthers, oh my God. If they don't beat the Panthers, there's gonna be some big time issues. Uh, the schedule, the schedule that they have is hell. It's absolute hell anyway. But um, with the state the team's in right now in terms of injuries and just morale and confidence and momentum, oh, this is gonna be really bad. Then they don't even have their own pick. Like that's the present is bleak, but the future might be even bleaker because of what you gave up for Russell Wilson. And I don't think he's the issue. I think that athletically he looks fine. It's just the scheme and the way that he's been kind of forced to play has made him look a lot worse than he's been playing. He hasn't been playing good, but I don't think it's 100% his fault. His arm strength is still there. His mobility is definitely still there. We've seen him make plays out of nothing this season. I think the accuracy is an issue just because he's not used to throwing these certain passes, he's not used to throwing these routes. I think that it's definitely tough to get timing with your receivers when every single week someone is on IR and someone's in and out of the lineup. I mean, you had like your wide receiver 2 was Kendall Hinton, and your wide receiver 3 was Jalen Virgil, maybe Montrell Washington. Like those aren't guys who you are expecting to be your wide receiver, your starter this late into the season. Mid-November, you're expecting KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy to, have 5 touchdowns each, maybe even more, and have 600, 700 yards. You're expecting Cortland Sutton to reach 1,000 at some point soon, and it hasn't gone that way at all. Looking into the future, like moving off the contract's going to be almost impossible. It would be hard to find a team that's going to take on his deal, especially considering he's played so bad this season. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So it'll be hard for someone to find a contract, and you don't really have a replacement to get him because this quarterback class is pretty loaded. But you're not gonna have a pick high enough to get him anyway. So there's no reason. There's really no reason to get rid of him. You might as well ride it out. You might as well do something. There's a lot of need that the team has. You still need a right tackle. Billy Turner didn't play the first 6 weeks. When he has played, he hasn't been good, and now he's injured again. Cam Fleming has been okay, but not good. So you still need a right tackle. I think it's time to move on from Lloyd Cushenberry. So you need a center. Graham Glasgow's okay, but I still think you need someone better. You could move on from Dalton Reisner, which sucks because he's the hometown kid, but since his rookie season, he's regressed every single year. So that's tough. Oh, 1 second. So that's tough. The offensive line is still definitely an issue. The coaching staff is 100% an issue. I think that you're going to need a running back. You release Melvin Gordon. He's definitely not coming back. Javonte Williams isn't going to come back for at least midway through next season, if not missing the whole season because he tore more than just his ACL. So his road to recovery is going to be pretty long. And when he does come back, you don't know how he's going to look. So that's an issue. That's a huge issue. And then you look at, you're going to have to find another running back. Latavius Murray has been good. I don't think you want him as your starter going into next season, but he's been good. He's been a pleasant surprise. You're going to need another corner because Ronald Darby's contract he's going to be an expiring deal. You might look to trade him coming off the ACL. So you're going to need more corner depth. You're going to need you're going to need more safety depth. You're going to want more run stuffers inside. Edge is once again an issue. Trading Bradley Chubb. Baron Browning's been good, but you're going to need more depth because Randy Gregory's going to get hurt. He's been injury prone his whole career. You just have to expect that at this point. You're going to need linebacker depth. There's a hole on a lot of this roster. So fixing that's going to be a task, and you don't have that many day 1 or day 2 picks because you traded them for Russell Wilson. So the future looks bleak as well as the present is bad, but the future, there's not much optimism for success, which might be the worst part. So, just some It's not fun. Just really not a fun situation at all for the Denver Broncos. Some other here, let me look at the let me look at some of the scores from the other games that happened, and I'll try and just remember what what happened. Titans Packers. Titans are ooh, excuse me. Titans are 7-3. They just win, man. They just win. They're just, their defense is good. You lean on Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill isn't awful. I think he's a game manager at this point. But I mean, you got a good offensive line. You got one of the best players in the NFL on both sides of the ball with Jeffrey Simmons and with Derrick Henry. Your defense is lights out. I think they're the best coach team in the league. I think Mike Vrabel, out of all the Bill Belichick disciples, he has by far had the most success. And it's not even close. I mean, the guys who have come out of Bill Belichick's coaching tree are god awful, but man, he looks great. So I'm the Titans are gonna upset someone in the playoffs, and it's gonna be hilarious. Some of the other games, Eagles still winning. Zach Wilson looks really bad, really bad. And Robert Saleh said today that they might go with somebody else to start next week's game. And I think attitude is an issue, but he just hasn't looked good through 2 seasons. He just has not looked good. And considering the guys who are taken behind him, with Mac Jones is taken behind him, Trey Lance is taken behind him, Justin Fields is taken behind him. Those are a lot of guys who you look at and be like, you would probably take those guys over Zach Wilson at this point. So that's an issue. Rams look bad. I know Stafford got hurt in this one. I didn't watch this game, but Rams look bad. 3-7 is awful. Let's talk about the Broncos. Cowboys Vikings. This was a shock. I thought this was going to be a better game, but 40-3 is insane. 40-3 is ridiculous. The Vikings were due for a loss. I didn't think all of it would come crashing down like this, but they were due for a loss. They also now have a negative point differential in the season, which is hilarious because they're 8-2 and they have a negative 2 point differential, which just shows how many close games they've played and how good they've been in close games because they've been able to pull all of them out. Losing by 37 will definitely change your point differential. But the Cowboys look good. This was obviously the best game of the season. Because their defense is good. Their offense has just been underperforming over the past few weeks. So, this is a team that could be a threat going into the playoffs. Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know how to feel about him. I talked about it last week. Why would you, just based on how he's performed versus how Tony Pollard? This is actually pretty good evidence of my point last week. Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott both this week got 15 carries each. The difference is that Zeke had 2 touchdowns, but they were both on the goal line. Tony Pollard had 15 carries for 80 yards. Zeke had 15 carries for 42. That's a 5.3 average to 2.8. 5.3 to 2.8. It's a big difference. So I don't know. And then receiving wise, Tony Pollard had the highest receiving carries he had the highest receiving yard carry. Oh my God. I have a chance? Wait, what? I might have a chance to win my fantasy game. Oh my God. Oh, yo, there's no shot, right? Oh my God, there's no shot. Oh my God. Yo. There's no way I have a chance to win. Yo, okay. Oh my God. Sorry. Let me try and regain my train of thought. Tony Pollard was the leading receiver. That's what I was trying to say. Leading receiver for Dallas. He had 6 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's just a better overall back than Zeke Elliott has been over the past 3 seasons. I don't know why you would keep Zeke over Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's he is a free agent this next season. I think Zeke might be on an expiring contract, so you're gonna have a decision to make. And I would personally choose Pollard and then sign somebody else to back him up instead of just keeping Elliott. Chiefs Chargers. The Chiefs, the AFC West, I saw this, it was hilarious. Like the AFC West put $1 billion into quarterbacks and receivers and whoever to try and top the Chiefs, and the AFC West race is over before December even starts, which is nuts. And they're just so inevitable. Travis Kelce, he's never going to slow down. Patrick Mahomes has a legit argument for MVP. He's first in passing yards, first in passing touchdowns. He's second in QBR. And you trade Tyreek Hill and everyone's like, oh, maybe there's a chance that he's gonna drop off. No, he hasn't dropped off at all. In fact, he might be having one of the better seasons of his career after that. After his first season when he threw 50 touchdowns, like this might be his second best season considering the circumstances. Especially last game, Kadarius Toney was expected to have a big role. He barely played, and he was out for most of the game because of an injury. His receivers were like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and that was it. Mecole Hardman's on IR. Juju Smith-Schuster was ruled out for the game. It was Travis Kelce, Justin Watson, Sky Moore. I don't even know that Jody Fortson. I've never heard of this man in my life. No offense to him, but I don't know who that is. Those were the top four receivers. Not even Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who was one of their big free agent additions. He wasn't even in the top four. He was number 5. He had one catch for 18 yards. One, it shows how good Travis Kelce is because he dominated the game. But it also just shows how, like, it doesn't matter who's out there. Like, as long as he has at least one capable target, he's going to dominate. And I still think he's the best quarterback in the league. And this season is just proving it. Like, he's just so good. It's crazy. But well, let me fill you guys in. I have a chance. I have a legit shot to win my fantasy game, which is crazy to think about because I have had one total touchdown the entire game. I had one touchdown the whole game. Like in my team, and that's Deebo Samuel. Now it's today. Everyone else sucked. Russell Wilson was bad. Dalvin Cook bad. Deontay Foreman bad. Adam Thielen bad. All those guys had under 10 points. Deontay Foreman and Adam Thielen had under 5, right? Greg Dulcich 7. Gabe Davis 12. Brandon McManus was my second leading scorer with 12 points. Like, hello. So I was screwed. I was screwed. This week was done. And my opponent, I came into today's game, I was down 66 to 92. So I had Deebo Samuel, he had Rondale Moore. I had Deebo Samuel has to outscore Rondale Moore by 26. And right now, Rondale Moore has negative 0.6, and he's questionable to return. He's probably out for the game. And Deebo Samuel has 21. So I'm this close away from pulling off one of the greatest upsets in fantasy football history. So hopefully that stays true. I'll move on to basketball. I'll try and finish this quick because I do have some stuff to do. But basketball, I'll stay with Nuggets. This is a tough week to watch. Jokic, I mean, they had a good game. I don't remember. Wait, let me look at the last game. I think I talked on Sunday after they played the Bulls. The Bulls. What am I saying? I think I talked last time after they played the Bulls. And I will just try and see what their last game. But I think after that Bulls game, Jokic got COVID, so he was out for the Knicks game, which they lost. That was a bad loss, regardless if Jokic wasn't there. Jokic and Gordon weren't there. Bad loss, regardless. And then Murray gets COVID going into the Dallas game. So you're going into Dallas for 2 straight games in Dallas without 3 of your top 4 players. Michael Porter Jr. is the only other guy there. Michael Porter Jr. struggled heavily against the New York Knicks. That was tough. You get the doors blown off of you in Dallas game 1, but this game 2 against Dallas, this is one of the most remarkable wins that I've seen this Denver Nuggets team have, because man, they pulled this out of nowhere, because Like you don't have anybody playing. Like you don't have anybody playing. You're like this reminded me of some of the games last season when Nikola Jokic was hurt, Michael Porter Jr. was out, and Jamal Murray was out still. Right? Like you don't have anybody else out there, but this team is just built so much better. And I know Michael Porter Jr. is playing this game, but Aaron Gordon was out, and Michael Porter Jr. hasn't been playing well either. So it's not like he's been a huge positive for the team over the past 3 games. This is huge. I mean, this is like to see your team win a game without your 2 best players plus your most important glue guy against a playoff team is crazy. It's crazy. And I'm like this is close to the 7 game, right? That game a few seasons ago when Denver only had 7 players in the second night of a back-to-back and they won on the road. You could argue that they did more with less in this game. They're playing a team that was in the conference finals last season. You're playing one of the best players in the league with Luka. Your Luka defender and Aaron Gordon is out. He's not even playing. So you have to just rely on incredible team defense to pull it out. And, you don't have Jokic. You don't have Murray, who you had in those games. And the fact that, like, Vlatko's insane halftime shot was probably the difference in the game is just ridiculous. But you just got to give credit to the team. I mean, this team has a lot of heart, and they're built so much better and so differently than last season's team. I mean, Bones Highland has taken a leap forward, which is great to see. I mean, I thought, I think with every single young player, there's a chance for a sophomore slump, but it doesn't look like that at all. I mean, he's the 3rd leading scorer on the Nuggets right now. He's over 16 points a game. He's still shooting the lights out from 3. He got double teamed, like legitimately double teamed, hard doubled for the first time in his NBA career, and he handled it perfectly. He's making the right play. He only had 1 turnover. He had 30 and he only had 1 turnover with 6 assists. He closed the game. He's been phenomenal. And I think that this is exactly this is exactly the progression that they wanted out of Bones Highland coming into the season. He's leveled up as a shooter. He's gotten more consistent shooting the ball. At home, you already know what he's going to do. You already know he's going to play phenomenal at home. But on the road was the issue, and he's played very well on the road so far. Which is just phenomenal to see. And I think it's great that, I mean, we saw it last year. He didn't need Jokic out there. And I think this season you could definitely tell he doesn't need anybody else out there on the court for him to succeed, which I think is something phenomenal. That's great to see. And Michael Malone, for whatever reason, he gets a lot of flack from Nuggets fans for not being able to develop young players, which is just insane. Like that's a stupid argument. One, because he can. Like he's very clearly shown he can. You look at Jokic, you look at Murray, you look at Gary Harris before he got hurt. You look at Will Barton when he got to Denver, how he leveled up as a player. He's you look at Michael Porter Jr. Like he's been able to do it pretty consistently. But the reason why they say that is because he messes with their playing time early in the season. But it works. That system works. He's done it with Jokic. He's done it with Murray. He's done it with Porter. He's done it with Gary Harris. He's done it with Bones. And they come out better for it. Like you just got to stop doubting the guy when it comes to young player development. That's why I think everyone talking about Bol, how the Nuggets messed up leaving on the bench. Like, no, he wasn't playing like this before. Like he wasn't doing what he is like. He was doing what he's doing in Orlando, but he was doing it with a crappy attitude. He didn't want to do the little things. And if I'm being honest, he's still not doing the little things, even in Orlando. But he's like, Michael Malone knows what he's doing. The fact that Bol didn't crack the rotation in Denver shows more about Bol than it does about Malone, looking at who's ahead of him. Because like the fact that Vlatko Čančar was getting rotation minutes before Bol was is very telling. Like that shows something. On no planet is Vlatko more talented than Bol, but he was just doing little things. And I think like he knows that, he instills that in every single player. Every single player knows it. Christian Brown's another great example of it. Like this is a guy who they just know what to do. He knows what to do. Malone's been able to tell him what to do, and he's performed. So I'm like Christian Brown, man. Like I've been saying it on Twitter. He's the most disciplined rookie defender I think I've ever seen. For sure, the most disciplined rookie defender I've ever seen in Denver. but he might be the most disciplined rookie defender that I have seen in my entire life watching basketball, outside of like Herb Jones last year. But maybe he might because Herb Jones relied a lot on his athleticism and his wingspan to be an impactful defender. Christian Braun relies on him just knowing his opponent better than anybody else. And for a young guy to have that type of ability is crazy. Like he guarded Luka on a number of possessions last night, and it was insane to see how disciplined he was. He wasn't falling for any pump fakes. He was closing out properly. He was using his hands well. He didn't have his hands on him. He had his hands back when Luka was trying to, jump into people and draw fouls. Like he just knows exactly what to do. He guarded LeBron James the same way. He was guarding Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, guys who, are notorious for being able to get by defenders and kind of schooling rookie defenders. He was holding his own on every single one of them. And that's just incredible to see by a young defender. And this might be the earliest I've ever seen someone earn Malone's trust. But he's doing it right. Like I think that the narrative that Malone doesn't know how to develop young players is ridiculous, because almost every single young player who's come through Denver has come out better. Every single one of them. There's a couple exceptions. Bol is definitely one of them. I think he messed up with Jared Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt was different because it was hard. He came when he was drafted, he was injured. So it was hard to get it. It was obviously impossible to get it on the floor there. And then his second year when he comes over, you have Millsap and you traded for Jeremy Grant, who was taking up his spot. Like you're just not going to play him over those guys, especially knowing how little you had seen of him beforehand. So it's hard to. Vanderbilt's an interesting case, but he's more of an exception than Bol. But like those are the only two guys I can really think of where it's like, yeah, like they didn't get better their time in Denver. They just didn't have the chance. They didn't have the opportunity to. He just knows. Like, Malone knows what to do with those young players. I think Zeke Naji is another one of them. I wish Zeke Naji would get more minutes. Obviously with the injuries to Gordon and Jokic, he's been forced into action. And with Jeff Green going down, he's gonna have even more playing time. But man, he just looks like Zeke looks really, really good. Defensively, he looks good. He's holding his own. He's had a couple of spin moves, like in the post, like showing some on-ball creation. I'm like, oh, that's definitely different. The team showed a lot. The team has shown a lot with Jokic and Murray out, which is good. Like I these last three games have been tough to watch. It reminds me of last season. I don't like that because last season was awful to watch. So yeah, I mean, I'm just proud of the team. Like this is such a weird time. Like the last two seasons have been so hard to watch with all the injuries. So now I'm just like, just kind of embracing it all, knowing that this is the best team that Denver's had in a long time. I don't really want to I don't want to take it for granted. I got the Pistons tomorrow. Jokic and Murray still might not play. Gordon's questionable, but he has a chance. But yeah, I'm just, man, this is a good team. I'm excited. Some of the other things, the Timberwolves won. That's actually pretty huge. Yeah, not that much else going on in the NBA. The Jazz are okay. You know what? Let me talk about this. I'll talk about this and then I'll end the stream. The Jazz are legit. They're a genuinely good team. They're well coached. They have good players. They're a genuinely good team. A lot of the times when teams trade their best player, you get back some young guys, you get back picks, and you start to just redevelop and rebuild. Jazz didn't do that. Jazz got a couple of young guys. They got Colin Sexton, they got Larry Markkinen when they traded Mitchell. But in the Gobert trade, all they got back was playoff bets. It's all they got back. They got back Walker Kessler, sure. Oh, excuse me. They got back Walker Kessler. And they got back picks. Yeah, but they get back Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt, who have been huge for them. Those are playoff-tested veterans, playoff-tested guys who have gone to the playoffs almost every single season of their career, and they've been good in the playoffs. They know how to play in the postseason. And then Larry Markkinen's a guy who played in a play-in tournament. He's played in big games in his career, right? Like Colin Sexton's played in the NCAA tournament. Like these are guys who know how to play in big games. And they're not bad players. They're not young guys who still have to develop into themselves. These are established guys who know what they are, and they fit together so perfectly. And then the rest of the veterans that are on the roster, Mike Conley knows what he is. He knows what to do. Rudy Gay knows what to do. Jordan Clarkson. These are guys who they're not bad players. Like these, it's not like the Rockets, right? They traded James Harden, and they get back just a bunch of young guys. They didn't try to retool. They just redeveloped. They're like, all right, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna go in straight into a rebuild. Now they have a bunch of young guys, and they're not very good. Utah did the complete opposite. They got back established players who are good, and they're fitting in well. I still think they're overachieving a little bit, but this, like, they're a good team. Like, they have good players. Like, I think that they should go all in. Like, I think they accidentally opened a window of contention. Maybe not contention, but they opened a window of being competitive with great teams, because they've beaten a lot of good teams so far this season. So they've opened a window on accident. And I think you just, like, whatever window you have, you got to go through with it. I think it's too far along to tank. I think you're too good to tank. And I think that you have too much trust in the locker room and too much belief in the team to tank right now. So you got to go all in. If there's a player available at the deadline, make a move if you need it. I still think they need an established center. Go and make a move for one. You can go and make a move for one. Like, I think that's, like, instead of selling and trading a guy like Jordan Clarkson or Kelly Olynyk or, you know, Malik Beasley or Mike Conley, like, instead of trading one of those guys and getting back more picks and young players, trade for someone. Like, maybe buy into whatever you've got going right now, because it's crazy that it's so hard to win in the league. And if you have a chance, you got to go all in on it. So I know it would suck to miss out on Wembanyama, but you got picks, you got assets. There's going to be more good players to come through. So Ayuk scored a touchdown, not Samuel. Okay, so third quarter, there's a chance. We're still good. We're still chilling. We're still in it. But yeah, like, I think you got to go in on it. And I think I think the Kings are actually can attest to this. I'll talk about them as well. I mean, they obviously they got a lot of flack for trading Tyrese Halliburton for Sabonis. I still don't know if that was the right choice, but it's working out. They're 9-2 in their last 11 games. They got a 6-game win streak for the first time in like 16 seasons. They're playing well, and it's because they made a move. They thought that they had something. They made a move, and they built on what they have. And it's paying off. And I predicted the Kings to make the play-in tournament. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but I predicted they'll make the play-in tournament at the very least. And they're playing like it right now. They're playing so good. Man, they have the hearts of, like, the country right now. I'm so happy for the Kings. I've been a believer of theirs for so long. And I'm so glad that I think that they finally hired the right coach. Mike Brown's a great coach. They finally hired the right guy. They finally starting to put it together defensively a little bit. De'Aaron Fox has taken a leap. I think he's taken a leap. I think he has a great argument to become an all-star. He's taken a leap. Kevin Huerter was a phenomenal addition that, you know, people are talking about how well he's playing, but I don't think they're talking about what a great move that was for the Kings to get him. Sabonis is playing phenomenal. Off the bench, getting Malik Monk he's been great. Harrison Barnes hasn't been that good, but he's still a veteran guy who has the ability to play well. Davion Mitchell off the bench has been great. Chimezie Metu has been great. Like, you have these guys who are good players, really, really good, solid players. So I'm just so happy for the Kings. I'm so happy for the Kings. I know exactly what those fans have been going through. I'm going through it right now with the Broncos. So it's nice to see that they have some success. Yeah, Nuggets play tomorrow. I don't know when I'll be able to stream next. Maybe next Monday. Be going home for Thanksgiving. I won't be able to have a time to stream, but try and do something with it. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Hopefully Denver can keep it going. Hopefully the Broncos can give me some optimism for the future.